Kingdom blessings, and welcome to Awakening Intercession. I'm your host, Apostle Nori Moore. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm Apostle Nori Moore, and I want you to follow me on social media. You can look at the links below and find me there. Hey, I'm Apostle Nori Moore with Awakening Intercession, and I would like for you to partner with me. If this service has been blessing you, if you've been enjoying this program, please follow the links below. Kingdom blessings, and welcome to Awakening Intercession. Listen, this is Apostle Nori Moore, and I have with me in the studio today Elder Calvin and his wife, Prophetess Andrea Jackson. They are continuing last week's segment. We're really talking about their life and how God has brought them together in their journey. Today, we're going to focus really on the trials and the tribulations of their journey, things that they have had to overcome and endure in their walk with Christ. And so I'm going to let you kind of start us off, Prophetess Jackson, and really telling us, you know, we left off talking about how just coming together as one was really a challenge for you guys, and the warfare and things that you endured, but understanding that this was God ordained. And so I understand that just because you get over one hurdle doesn't mean that the devil's going to lay down. There's going to be many other hurdles that you are going to be faced with. And so I want you to kind of share with us the hurdles that you guys have had to endure just on your journey with God as one.
Amen. Well, I know to start off, we were one day back in 2015, I believe it was, 2015, I had a dream. And in the dream, God had showed me Calvin's heart. He had shown me Calvin's heart, and I saw his heart encapsulated, almost like with a crystal type substance. And so, you know, I was thinking, I'm praying about it. I'm like, Lord, I don't know what this means. I told Calvin, it's like, Calvin, this is what I seen. And he's saying, okay. So we're just thinking nothing of it, you know. And maybe about a month or two later, Calvin was at work, and he passes out at work. And to the point where he gets hit over the head with a, how much did it weigh?
I don't know the exactly weight, but yeah, it was like a countertop for a desktop, but it was about 4 inches thick.
Wow.
And we was
about 4 inches thick.
About 4 inches thick. We was moving, you know, unloading the trailer, you know, that had been damaged, so that we were trying to get it so that we can, you know, process it through. And in that process, I was removing another one, and one hit me on the back of my head. And from that point, it was different for me.
And so I got a call saying, you know, we are on our way to the hospital. He passed out, you know, at work, and we're not sure what was happening. And so from that experience, from that admission, we realized, or we learned, that he had a heart problem, a heart issue. And now we'd never known this before. This was in April, maybe of 2015, April or June. He had just had a complete physical in January of that year, and everything, he had a clean bill of health. And then all of a sudden this surfaces to the point where he would just randomly pass out. We would be in church, a church service, I think, because they gave him what's called a life vest. And so they had him wear this life vest so that if his heart goes off rhythm, then it would shock him and bring it back into rhythm.
Right.
And so that started the trials.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to God, and we both said to God, because we knew that he wasn't going to be able to work at that point because they were still trying to diagnose him. They were still trying to, figure out what was going on with his heart. And so I remember saying to God, okay, God, how are we going to do this? I'm working. We were both working at the time, but now Calvin is not working anymore. So like, how are we, what is this going to look like,
Right.
And so God had promised us that throughout this test that we wouldn't lose anything. Like that everything would be kept, our bills, our, everything that God had given us, that we would keep it. And so I just remember going through this time of intense difficulty. We were in service one day and the vest went off in service and it shocked him. And he's laid out, almost at the altar, and different places. We're at the store, different places. And, it was always an unknowing. And so you didn't know where it would go off. You didn't know where it would shock him. You didn't know where, and so it was a really fearful time for us, for me.
Right.
I don't know how you felt, Calvin.
I felt some kind of way. And, even in that, we was out of work. When I was out of work, I would try to find something to do, like Uber or Lyft. And in one process that I was Ubering, I picked up this one couple, and I was having to pick them up from across the street from the hospital. And when I picked them up from the hospital and loaded those things, I was on my way back to the front door of the vehicle, and I passed out. And I was out for a while. And when I came to, I was laying face first in the asphalt. But God was keeping me.
Yeah.
He was bringing me through. He was pulling me through.
Yeah.
And in that point, that's when we come to find out more that it could be a more medicine type of thing that I can take. And they, at that point, we went from having to wait and to be put onto this list to have a defibrillator put in to immediately doing that.
Yes.
And in that process of putting that defibrillator in, I went through a couple of changes where it fired unexpectedly because it was thought that I was in a rhythm that I wasn't.
Right.
But at that time, it was just going off. At one point in time, it shocked me over 40 times.
Oh,
but
wow.
God had cut on the boat Sunday. He killed the boat. But God kept me. He brought me through even that.
Remember.
Go ahead.
I remember the day that he's talking about, the lady that I guess you were going to be driving. I got a call from one of them. They didn't know us, but they got in his phone and said, "Hey, we're here with your husband, and he was supposed to be taking us to the airport, but he passed out." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was frantic because here I am home with a 10-year-old, but then I have a newborn,
Wow.
and so, or almost newborn 2-year-old, and so I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, what are we going to do?" And I just remember praying and asking God, "Hey God, I need you to give me strength, to deal with this," because I needed to get to Calvin,
Right.
because they were going to take him. I think they ended up taking him to the emergency room.
Yes.
And so we realized then that, okay, he
This is
can't do,
serious.
this is serious.
Yeah.
This is serious. And, what if he had been driving and he passed out? That was his life and the people's lives, that were in the car with him. So we realized at that point that not only was God keeping him, but that, okay, this is going to look different for our family because he really is not going to be able to do any type of work because it's so dangerous for him and to other people. And so I remember going to the hospital and God kind of reassuring us that he was going to be okay, but it didn't look that way.
It didn't look that way. No, it didn't. It didn't feel that way. But we had to trust and believe in what he had said already to us, that we would trust and believe in the victory that was already prophesied in the life.
Yeah.
that he said he would take care of us no matter what.
Absolutely.
Because I got to the hospital, and the doctor said, "Well, Miss Jackson, I'm going to tell you, your husband's heart is operating at 25%."
Wow.
And so it was a 25% efficiency, right?
Efficiency.
So they say his heart is operating at 25%. So these are the options,
Mhm.
you know, and we can put him on the heart transplant list. We can put him, you know, on, and they ended up installing the defibrillator to sort of help keep it in rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought things stabilized out a little bit.
Yeah.
They stabilized a little bit. And so I can't even imagine how Calvin was feeling.
Right.
You know, he told me,
Uh-huh.
but I can only tell you the stress that I was experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being at home, worried and being concerned about him.
Right.
You know, and what is this going to look like
Right.
moving forward? And I remember that God told us, so back in maybe a year later or 2 years later,
Yeah.
God told us to prepare ourselves.
You get out of bullshit there.
God told us to prepare ourselves because what was to hunker down, actually what he said was hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was coming was to prepare us for ministry.
Yes.
So now when God tells you that kind of stuff, you thinking, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
strong, you know, I pray a little bit,
Mhm.
you know. So you're thinking, like I wasn't thinking what was coming.
Right.
Like I thought, okay, God is saying that we're going to be, but we're going to make it. It's going to be for ministry sake. So we're thinking, okay, it's something that we're going to be able to handle in our strength.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a service this started it again. He was stable. He was stable in between. They finally got him stable. We went to a service, and I was vending. We were vending. I had a book table there, and so we were there at the service, and then all of a sudden, Calvin passes out at the service, and not only does he pass out, but the defibrillator shocks him, but then it keeps shocking him. I mean, like it shocks him. By the time they made it to the hospital, and the EMT came and they picked him up, by the time we made it there, it had shocked him over 40 times.
Wow.
Medically, he should have been dead.
Right.
Medically, he should have been dead because the defibrillator, your heart can't take that many shocks. It shocked him over 40 times. In fact, it was still shocking him. So we are in the car. I'm in the car behind him in the EMT going to the hospital. And I leave everything. I'm leaving books, everything there at the church because, you know. So anyway, we get there and it's still shocking him.
Yes.
The emergency professionals, the nurses and the doctors, they put this metal piece on his chest to stop a magnet, to stop the defibrillator from firing until they can get in and investigate why it's firing.
Wow. Wow.
They said to us.
They come to find out that a lead was out, pointing up. And they said that, hey, my God, at church, it was the rhythm of the beat.
At church, that caused it to malfunction.
What?
Yeah, that's what they said. But we in that place, I asked God, I was like, God, you know, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Not giving up, but I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this. And this ain't what you said it looked like.
This is not what you said.
This is not what you said it looked like.
And there were even times I remember standing there with him on the floor at this service, and someone standing beside me, and they're saying, "Well, oh, that's what happened to him. You know, that's not good." And I'm thinking, and I'm saying to them, I don't want to hear that. Yeah. Not that I appreciate what you're saying, but I need to stand in faith.
Absolutely.
And so I can't have what you're saying in my ear gaze, because I have to believe in faith until God says something different. You know? And so I was like, so that's important that when you're going through trials and tests, that you have those right people.
Yes.
You know, that are in your sphere, because it can mean a difference between you standing in faith and you folding.
Right.
You know? And so that was one of the things that I think we had, you know, you have to stand in faith. And after this thing shocked him so many times, and they said, well, it was because of the drums, the rhythm of the drums, we believe, you know, we don't know why, but the doctor said to him, like, we are surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That started a lot of surprises
yes,
at that point in life that with the doctors and that right there was about a year.
yep.
How
After
long
that,
after that with COVID coming?
yeah, that was the beginning of our wow season. And I
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that
Wow.
wow
Yeah,
season,
yeah,
and,
right,
not
wow.
necessarily and wow for us because God was shocking us, but
Uh-huh.
wow for the medical professionals because
Wow.
God was shocking them.
Wow.
And
Now I want to go back because from the very beginning, you said God gave you I don't know if it was a dream or a vision, all right? And he showed you his heart, the state of his heart, right? What was going on with him. And you didn't know it. You didn't know what that meant, but God had revealed from the very beginning. And I love to, just share with people when God reveals something, you don't have nothing to worry about.
yep,
When God shows you,
yeah,
you don't have that's when you need to stand truly in
yes,
faith because God has revealed it beforehand, and so it lets you know He's there.
yes,
And so even as you guys will continue to go through, God continued to speak.
yes, yes, he did.
Yes,
He
Yes, he did.
continued to speak to encourage you in your process.
Yes,
And a lot of times, because the process is so devastating to us,
yes,
the process literally shakes us and it disrupts
yes,
our
Everything.
normalcy,
Yes.
right? And so because it brings so much disruption, sometimes we forget what God has said, or we don't really rely on what he's
Yes.
saying
Yes.
in the moment.
Yes.
And it's because the trial or the testing, the tribulation, it seems to be so big at the
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
But you guys were able to hold on to not just what he said, but to hear him even in the process
Yes.
and walk with him in what he was saying as he was guiding you guys through it. And it didn't take away from your pain,
No.
right? It
No.
didn't.
No.
It didn't stop the tears
No.
or any of that.
No.
But God assured you that he was with you in the process.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that was, I think, that was what kept us going.
Yes.
Because there were so many times that we were like, man, listen, like, what else, Lord? Like,
Wow.
how much more can we possibly take?
Wow.
You know, realistically.
Yeah.
And even the people around us was like, oh my goodness, like y'all just need time to breathe. Because it was back to back to back
Yeah.
to back to back. And I remember saying to God, like, okay, God, I wasn't expecting this.
Now, I want to say this because this is so important. You both were in the church.
Yes.
You were living a righteous lifestyle because
Yes.
oftentimes people feel like, well, they had to do something wrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
come
listen.
on,
This
come
this
on.
has come upon you because something you did or something you said or you put your mouth on something. But this was not the case.
Amen.
God wanted to show himself strong
Strong.
in your life.
Yes.
He wanted to even take you to a new place with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he allowed this to come upon you.
Someone even told us, I think, like that there's some witchcraft that you open the door
Wow.
to. And
Yeah.
Wow.
but I knew that wasn't the case.
Absolutely.
I asked God about it still,
Mhm.
but I knew that wasn't the case. And God just reminded us that it was a time of testing for us.
Absolutely.
And that was what encouraged us, because people will, they will look at your situation. And the enemy even said to me, to make me walk in shame, because Calvin, well, y'all did something wrong.
Yeah.
You did something that you shouldn't have done. And so that was my first thing. And another thing too is when you're going through those intense trials, I was screaming for somebody to just say something.
Yeah.
I was looking, instead of looking to God, I was praying, but I started to turn to man and say, okay, somebody has to have an answer
Right.
for what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And so I was screaming on the inside without saying anything.
But that's important because oftentimes God just wants it to be between you
Yes.
and him.
Yes.
And we want to bring a third party in.
Yes.
And God says, no, I want to teach you. I want to train
Yes.
you. I want to
Yes.
help you get through this.
Yes.
It's not going to be done through another man.
Amen.
And that's what we found to be so. We definitely had supports there in place, but that's what we found to be so, because only God can touch a certain place.
Yeah.
There's a certain place in us that only God can touch. And that's what God showed us through these trials. And when he reaches in and he touches us, like it gives us a peace. It's truly a peace that surpasses our understanding.
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't hurt and you don't cry and you don't, but it's that you still okay with it.
Yeah.
You still okay. Because people will say to me, Andrea, say to Calvin, I don't know how you had lost your mind.
Wow.
I don't know how y'all made it through that.
Grace of God.
The grace of God.
All the time. No, but God.
Come on.
Because if we look at it and we try to make sense of it, we never will.
Come on.
We never will. And to be a part of anything like that, have faith. If you're a part of, you see anything like that going on, don't resort to hey, this might be. You need to have faith in that room.
Yeah.
Or leave that room.
Absolutely.
Come
The
on.
faith
It
has
reminds
to be
me
in the room.
of the story where they said, who did sin?
Come on.
That this man was
That this
born
man-
blind.
Come on.
Mhm.
Come
Who
on.
sinned?
Come
And Jesus
on.
said, no.
No.
It wasn't on his mama and it wasn't on
No,
his daddy.
Right.
This is so he could be glorified.
This is so he can
This
be
is so God can be glorified.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we don't understand. We say, use me, God.
glorified.
Use me, God.
Yes.
Be careful what you ask for.
Listen,
I got you.
I'll be the song says, I'll be the miracle.
Come on.
I'll be the miracle, God. And you don't understand what you're
that
asking
looks-
for.
Yes.
You don't understand that God says, okay, I'm going to put you through it so that men can see my glory.
Yeah,
I'm going to
Yes.
use you, but it may not be how you want to be
Yes.
used, but I'm going to show forth my glory in your life.
Come on.
And when I look at your story, you can't help but to see the glory of God.
That's it.
You can't help but to see that it's the hand of God that's been on your life,
Yes.
working. And so even from the beginning, when you were saying it was warfare, hard to get married, because the enemy knew what you guys are assigned to do in the earth realm. And so the fight was to keep you guys from coming together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you come together as one,
In
you are
agreement.
detrimental
Come
to the
on.
kingdom of darkness.
Yes.
And so now the enemy brings these trials upon you because he wants you to quit. He wants you to give up because you are a threat to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that it's bigger than what we see, because oftentimes we just look at something and we think that, this is what it is. But because in your situation, it looked like your life had been put on hold.
Yeah.
It literally looked like God had put you on hold. But God was working behind the
Behind the
scenes
scenes.
on the
Yes.
inside of you.
Yes.
And so to man, it looked
looked
like
like-
you had been put on hold. But you were growing in leaps
Believe.
and bounds in the spirit
Come on.
with God through your trials, through your times of testing.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
were literally taking leaps and bounds with God. And so that level of growth, that level of maturity, that level of intimacy, that can't be bought.
Listen,
No, you
the
can't.
glory, even as we were sitting here, one of the things that the Holy Spirit was just saying to me is that the glory is never produced on the platform. It's produced in the pit.
Wow. Say that again.
crushing.
Glory is never produced on the platform. It's always produced in the pit.
In the pit.
Because it's in the pit that you realize that you can't do anything without him.
Listen, y'all need to tweet that right now. Tweet that.
Listen.
The
Listen.
glory is never
Never
produced
produced.
on the platform.
Yeah. No.
It's only produced in the pit. And so in your pit moment,
Yes.
oh wow,
The doors of being able to be. Oh my God.
the glory,
Was being
the glory of God
Rest.
was increasing upon
Yes.
your life. And listen, because there are some people going through right now.
Yes.
There are some people who are enduring some hard things right
Yeah.
now. You may be in your pit moment, but keep going through. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, because the glory of God is being produced in your life.
Yes.
It's not just about you seeing
Yeah.
the hand of God or the glory of God. God is using you to show forth other men his glory in your
Yes.
life.
Yes.
God is using you in the earth realm.
So that others can see.
Yes.
That's it. So others can see. who he is.
Yes.
You're a sacrifice.
Come on.
You're a sacrifice before the Lord.
And little did we know that was only the beginning.
Only the beginning.
Of what we were going to face.
Only the beginning. Listen, we're going further into this story. Thank you so much for tuning in to Awakening Intercession. I'm your host, Apostle Nori Moore. I pray that you will tune in next week as we continue in this journey. God bless. Hey, I'm Apostle Nori Moore with Awakening Intercession, and I would like for you to partner with me. If this service has been blessing you, if you've been enjoying this program, please follow the links below.